2 months ago, I began a YouTube channel called Cauldrons and Swords. Now, the idea of Cauldrons and Swords is that we need to balance edification with intervention. That is, we have needs. We need to nourish ourselves. We need to do that spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. And we also need to intervene and take action in the world, because there's a lot of things wrong in the world. So I've talked about invasive species, I've talked a little bit about fascism and white nationalism, and I intend to talk about quite a lot of other things. But the idea here is to be balanced, to actually try to provide for our needs in a wholesome way, because if we just focus on anger, we're only going to burn ourselves out. Now, personally, I did burn myself out a couple years ago trying to do a scientific project that I intend to progress, and so I want to talk about science on this channel, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that actually is seeing to my needs and is going to provide more to you than just anger and frustration over things not being the way that they should be. So, I've talked a little bit about spirituality, I've talked a little bit about poetry, and read some poetry, and I've talked about literature, and I'm going to keep expanding that. I've talked about sick ideology, which I've been learning about and being quite excited about the last few months, although I'm still very new to it, so I apologize for any mistakes that I have made. And I hope to talk about martial arts, and I hope to talk about cannabis and trauma and the science that concerns these things, to try to help people understand a little bit more about their bodies and about the effects that things that happen to them or that they do are going to have on them. Now, I don't want to just be focused solely on one issue or another. Also with cannabis, I mean, I think a lot of people acknowledge that we have a big problem right now of a lack of balance. On the one side, we have prohibitionists saying, oh, it's so terrible, it does all these harmful things. And on the other side, we have this kind of wide-eyed optimism. Oh, it's this panacea, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It doesn't cause harm to anybody. And of course, neither of these things are true. You know, cannabis, as well as a lot of other things in the world, have a lot of benefits and also some dangers that we need to be aware of, we need to acknowledge, and we need to be able to talk in a balanced way about the literature so that people can actually understand a little bit better. So that's what I hope to do with this channel. I hope to get more into science than I have been discussing so far, but I still want to keep it balanced with poetry, with literature, talking about ecology, talking about contemporary political issues, and in all ways that I possibly can, calling for us to work together to make a better world that's going to work for everybody. Now, tomorrow Patreon is changing the way that its system functions, so I've been told that I need to get an intro video up today to ask for money. And I don't really like asking for money personally, but the truth is I need to eat, I need to pay rent. I only currently have 23 videos on my YouTube channel. It's just getting started. I haven't been publishing that much. I only got on Twitter the other day. So I don't expect this Patreon to explode and I'm going to be rolling in cash. But I ought to start, just because I don't personally like asking for money and I prefer to do things for free. And in fact, I would like it so that everybody could do that. I would like it so that we don't need to be doing great, impressive, amazing works and be super charismatic and be able to run a crowdfunding campaign just in order to survive. I think that we ought to all be able to survive just on our own merits. That if it's going to take you 20 years to write a great work of literature or to do any other artistic achievement, or if you're just simply going to care for people with disabilities and old people and raise children and all these other things that society doesn't tend to reward financially, I think we should be able to do that. But we live in the system that we live in, and that's not really a reality right now. So I do need to ask for money, and if you would like to support me and help make what I'm doing a bit more sustainable, that'd be fantastic, and I would appreciate it a lot. Anyway, I hope that something that I can say might be of use to you, or might be of use to all of us, that we can work together again to try to save the world, to make a place in which we all get to eat, in which nobody is persecuted, in which we can come to understand ourselves a little bit better. Thank you.